All right. So, how to deal with working or playing when you know that you aren't in your optimal state? I find it really hard to motivate myself to play if I haven't slept much and I know I won't be playing well because of it. Okay. So, a couple of things in here I want to unpack. So, firstly, whenever I hear the word motivated, for me, I'm automatically thinking goal setting. Have you set the right goals? So, it's important to know, are you um if you set yourself the goal to be like a tier 1 player, very high lofty goal, but your actions aren't backing that up because you're partying every weekend and you're drinking and eating and whatever too much, that then there's going to be a mismatch and you're always going to be disappointed in yourself. So that's the first thing I want to check on. But the second part of the statement is talking about when you haven't slept well, you don't have to actually play badly on the back of that. I want to disagree with that part, the second part of the
Really?
statement, because um, you might have a really bad night's sleep, and you might think, oh, this is going to be a disaster, but actually, performance drop off doesn't have to be that bad. It's your attitude towards that matters more. So let me just
Yo,
explain this a bit more.
let me write that down.
So yeah, well, it's in my notes here. It's all right.
Cause I'm a
So
huge stickler for like trying to set myself in an optimal state where it's like, oh,
of
I had to get
course,
my
but
8 hours. I had to do
if
this.
something happens that you can't or you haven't managed to that night, like a night before a big competition, and you haven't slept well,
Yeah.
don't think the next day is going to be a write off. Um, and this is where Jared Tendler, so he's a sports a guy who's worked in esports, but is more renowned probably these days for poker. And how to do the psychology of poker. But
Wait, mental game of
DDK
poker
is
or no?
yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, I started
exactly.
reading that book.
So DDK cites him quite often, and actually DDK's got some great podcasts. So make sure you listen to his stuff too, on sports psychology. Even though he's not well trained, he has such great experience and he expresses it really well. He's actually not far off the mark on the things that he has in his podcast. But anyway, Jared Tendler says if you can't bring your A game, make sure you bring 100% of your B game. Otherwise, you'll end up with your C game. And it's a really important concept because it's your attitude to, oh, I haven't slept well, therefore I'm going to play badly. It's that attitude that will cause you to play badly. What you have to do instead is say, okay, I haven't slept well, but it's okay because I know I can compete just as well. Well, I can compete really well even if I'm not in my A game. It's really important to understand that you've just got to do the very best you can with what you've got, not just let the whole thing slide. Um, so hopefully that will keep you motivated because even if you want to be like a much better player, and I want to go back to just going back to this question originally. So um, if you aren't in your optimal state, just do the very best you can anyway. And this is something I actually set up with my teams regardless. I don't want them to be at all worried about who they're competing against or the importance of a competition. I want that to be in the back of their mind, not even thought of. I want them to be giving their best performance every single time, and I want their scrims to be best performance that they can bring every single time too. Because in that way, if you're getting to be excellent in scrims, that's the fastest way to be excellent in officials.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So even if you had a tough day at work or things haven't gone right, do the very best you can, and it'll still be not too bad. Don't worry about it too much.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Just like accept like I think I've been on a path almost to that conclusion, but I think you just like nailed it for me. But it's like
Right?
it's just like kind of accepting reality. It's like, yeah, this sucks. Like I'm tired, but so what? Like this is the
Yeah.
reality. Let's do
Suck it
let's do
up. Suck it
yeah,
up. Do it.
do what we
Yeah. Do it
can.
anyway.
Someone in the chat,
Yep.
Sona says, oftentimes I play better when tired. I
Right.
don't know if you have any
There's a
comments on that.
risk. there's a risk there that you know that's if you're setting yourself up to be a great player by cutting yourself short on sleep, I don't think that's a good way to do it.
I don't think so either.
Um,
Yeah.
no, you've got to have good habits and good behaviors to set yourself up to be excellent. You're cutting yourself short if you're minimizing sleep or not looking after your sleep. Um,
He
yeah,
said
so
not on
I don't want to go
purpose
there.
though. It's just something I've noticed over
Right.
the years. That's what he said.
The reason it's probably happening is because when you have a reason for underperforming, suddenly if you're someone who feels the pressure of a match, an important match, and you say, "Oh no, I haven't slept well, therefore I'm going to underperform." You've got a reason now. The expectation is less, and
Yeah.
that's probably the why he's managed to perform quite well under those. But that's to do with expectation, not to do with sleep. So that's why
Interesting.
I would talk to him about that being different.
They just remind me. Do you know who John Jones is?
No,
He's I think he's a heavyweight. He's like he's in the UFC. I've seen him say
right?
in several interviews that like he's like a reigning champ. Like he's like one of like arguably like a goat of the sport. And I've seen him in several interviews. He'd say like leading up to his fights, especially his like all his championship fights, he would party the whole week beforehand, just
Mm,
so he'd have like an excuse where it's like, oh, if I lose, it's because
right,
I did cocaine and I was drunk all last week, and then he would end up performing well, which I don't think it's like
right.
I don't think that's like a smart thing to do in the
No,
long run. But I mean, it kind of goes along with what you're saying. Like it can
right.
help with that weird mental
To
game.
do with expectation.
Yeah, it's like a little band aid
So
you can use.
right.